everything is about energy. Fear is, you can say, low energy, and love is high energy. Everything is about vibration, frequency, and so on. As I see it, the reason why people are so much in fear today is that they have become disconnected, you can say, by the wireless society, by the mobile phone use. And that means their energy is, you can say, stuck in a kind of dualism. So they are disconnected from, you can say, their soul or the unity and so. And then it's difficult to have the love. But we need to have people reconnected to the love state and get them out of the fear. But how will we do it?
That's a good question. I think it's very hard, but actually number one is to tell people that there is no death, they can't die, because that is the greatest fear of the general population. And when that fear is taken away, then I don't think there is anything else to fear, because you also know then that you are protected. The divine in the universe protects us. And if something so-called bad happens, there's always a reason for it. It doesn't happen by a coincidence, even if a car accident or a plane accident or whatever looks to be a coincidence. Life is, in a way, predicted before you were born. So to take away the fear is, number one, knowledge that there is no death. And then when real bad things happen, like September 11th, well, that was man-made. I mean, even former Italian president has admitted that it was done by CIA and Mossad. And official reports also show that it was an inside job. It was known a long time ago and planned a long time ago. And why? To create fear so that people would accept the new laws which take away their private citizens' rights, and also then to claim that it was Al-Qaeda or Afghanistan or whatever, Saudis, who were doing it, Iraqis.
Yeah.
The fact is that those who claimed to have done it in the planes, they are, most of them, alive still.
Yeah.
So it was just an intelligence operation to create fear, and they succeeded. For a while they did, because the whole world became, with fear. Now, many people already in the USA know that this was hoax,
Yeah.
and they can blame the president, but actually, he's just an errand boy,
Yeah.
George W. Bush. So his behavior already showed what was behind it, because he was reading a children's book when he was being told that the towers have been hit.
Yeah.
Now, a president does not normally step on a plane and circle around the US the whole day like he did in Air Force One plane. They were saying, oh, he was protected. Now, again, something to tell people which is not true.
Yeah.
How do you change fear into love? I think you have to face it. Because it's like in a nightmare. When you have a nightmare, something is attacking you. If it's a big bear or a symbol of a big bear. So if you run, you're losing. You have to stop and face it. You have to look into the eyes of the bear.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it's the bear that runs away.
Yeah.
So this should be very important. And I don't think that people, before they realize the question of their own soul, consciousness and reincarnation, can totally get rid of the fear.
No.
Because when they realize that, then they know that in my soul's computer programming, everything that happens to me has been programmed by myself, accepted with the aim of trying to teach me something. And of course the highest teachings is always universal love.
And then you can say when people become disconnected and caught in the fear state, if they give that energy, for instance, if they give the 9/11 a lot of attention, that means they're focused on 9/11, they're actually feeding their energy, or they are adding to the vibration, you can say. So like attracts like, you can say. If you start being kind and start facing what it is, say, okay, what happened here? Okay, this is it. But it frees you to look at things. If you dig into the electromagnetic things and the mind control stuff and everything, you cannot be scared of it when you dig into it, because, you know, and when you are conscious about it, you're also protected about it. So it's actually, people are in general running away from something instead of just facing it, because, it cannot
That's true.
do anything to you.
And when you know that technology exists, that they can read your thoughts and they can make you into a mass murderer, that is fear. That is fearsome. But when you know it, then you can maybe resist it. If you don't know, you're just a victim. You're a robot doing what they want. Yeah. And nobody wants to be a robot. Nobody wants that their children are robots for computers or for the elite criminals who are behind all these scenes.
How can we reach women? You know, women, they care a lot for children and want to have children. And I guess, you know, when we see all this what's going on in the world, it's like they are really assaulting human consciousness and really going for the emotions, really raping people in their mental and emotions. And so how will we reach women? Because women, they normally, you have a big heart and care for people and care for children and their husbands and friends, and so men are more primitive, you can say, normally. But how can we reach women? Because they are...
I think they have to be informed that they have extreme power as mothers and raisers of children. Many housewives have said to me, well, what can I do to change the world? Like, you know, helpless. I'm just a housewife. I said, you have enormous power in you. You have your energy. And if you only for a minute a day, or 10 minutes if you can afford it, concentrate on peace and love with your thoughts. And since half of the world population is women, that will change the world. But they don't believe it because they don't know about it. So their awareness has to be changed. And when you think of love, so there is nothing more high mission than the mission of love, and that is to be a mother of children. Because the mother of children only gives love, gets no recognition or titles or money or whatever, only gives love. So they are actually on the top of the human development, but they don't realize it because our false values make people think that being at home with children is a low job, and being something, you know, professional, academically, or that is something. It's the other way around. But of course both are needed.
Yeah, but that's also when we look today, when the women I know, they are striving for careers and so, but I can actually see how miserable they feel because they are missing something. It's like they're moving away from the female side and becoming more male and forget about children. And when they become 38 or 39, there's something about children. You know, it's like opposite. Everything comes in an opposite direction, and it's very sad because also when I talk to women, they say, oh, you're very chauvinistic. No, on the contrary, I say, because women are magical and has so much power and just amazing. It's amazing, but women are not amazing when they become like male. You know, then you are married to a man. You know, it's because they have got everything about love and caring them.
Well, not quite that they have forgotten everything about love. I don't accept that, but I would say that when I was professional, working as a medical doctor, and then I became a housewife in Geneva after my car accident, so I saw how women in Central Europe and especially Switzerland were living, and in an international community, and it was surprising that they were able to do things that a professional woman can't, because a professional woman is always at work from 8 to 5 or whatever. And in addition, especially in Scandinavia, where we don't have maids to help us, they also do the housework, because males very often don't take care part in the housework. So actually women in Scandinavia are in a bad position. They are doing twice the work, and of course that tires them out. In Central Europe, they're concentrating to be housewives and women, you know, with the kids or without kids, or then they are academics or, you know, in the working profession. They don't do the both. And when you say women are becoming more and more male-like, well, if you are in the academic world, or if you are in professional world, anywhere, especially in business, you have to. Because if you behave like a nice little girl, you've been stamped over. So you have to show that you can do the things you can. And I honestly think that a woman has to be many, many more times more professional than a male to get to the top. Because the attitude of males is still like this. Women are there and men are here. But that, in my mind, is because of fear. Because men fear females who are on the top, who have a higher education, or maybe higher than they do. I mean, they fear them so much that they become impotent. And that's, of course, the worst that can happen to a man. So it's the fear factor that keeps them down, instead of accepting that women are equal. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're a male or female, because your soul, your consciousness, your energy does not have sexual organs and does not have any inner organs. I've been out of my body and I've looked at my physical, and I've seen exactly that the outer body, energy body, is exactly the same in the form as the physical, without any physical defects and without sexual organs and without inner organs. So when you realize that, it would be so easy to be equal. And males who, push down women actually are doing a great disadvantage for themselves, because in the next life they have to learn, and they're going to be born in a female body.
Yeah. And
then they realize that, hey, I did wrong. But only personal experience maybe teaches them. And when you think of male priests or ministers who don't, especially in Finland still, there's a group of them who do not accept female ministers. I mean, that's crazy. Only a man can be a priest, only a man can be a minister.
That's ignorance again.
That is stupidity.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that those guys are going to be born into female bodies next time, and then they're fighting for female ministers.
Yeah.
Then they know how wrong they were. There was a story of a Finnish priest, a minister, who was very, very judgmental. I mean, if people went this way, this way, this way, they would go to hell. Then he died, and then a medium had contact with him. And his son was also a minister, and exactly like the father. And he was desperate when he was trying to tell his son, please don't make the same mistake I did, please don't condemn, please be gentle, please be kind, and women are just as good as men. The son didn't listen and said, it's the devil talking. That must have been hell for the father. His soul, his energy. But that's the only way we learn.
It's very beautiful when you talk about your out-of-body experience, and because then it's really a picture of we are all one. We are all the same. It's just beautiful. And if both men and women would look at that, it's crazy what they are doing to each other, instead of help each other, support each other, have fun, and grow, because that's the purpose of life. So that's actually, it's a beautiful picture.
Yeah, but you have to experience it yourself, because when you only tell it to others, they can't believe it. They say this is sign of schizophrenia, psychotic, whatever.
Yeah.
Even doctors, most of them don't know. Even if there have been over 30 years already medical research on near-death experiences. A near-death experience means that in a case of crisis, you can have a heart attack or a heart stop or a car accident, whatever. Your physical body is left behind and your energy body gets out. I had that in an operation. It was an emergency operation. And of course I was under full anesthesia, and I was a young doctor, and all of a sudden I was floating above my physical body. I was watching my own operation from the ceiling. I mean, you don't often see your stomach opened up, and a doctor operating, and of course I was very interested, just a graduate from medical school, and then I just knew in the energy body that the doctor was going to make a mistake. I have little abnormal anatomy. Even my father's heart was on the other side, so maybe that's inherited. But anyway, I knew that he's going to make a mistake, so I tried to tell him from the energy, don't cut there, because there's an artery behind that organ. But of course he couldn't hear me, and he just cut there, and I saw, zoom, the artery was cut, and my blood went to the ceiling. And then I felt that I was sucked into a tunnel, and a beautiful tunnel, and at the end of the tunnel there was a huge light. And at that time, it was in the mid-60s, of course, nobody had in Finland talked about near-death experiences. It was totally unknown for the medical profession too. So I saw this figure in front of me, and it was so bright that I had to kneel. And I went this because I couldn't take the light. I was kneeling, and it was like, because I have had a Christian upbringing, Scandinavia's Lutheran, so it looked like the figure of Jesus. Now I know that if I would be a Muslim, it would look like Muhammad, or a Buddhist would see a Buddha or whatever, because it's your cultural background that shows what you expect to do when you're dead, quote, quote. And so that figure had a white tunica and sandals, like you see in the pictures from the Bible, but I couldn't look further up but to knees, because the light was so bright. And that figure says a few things to me, like, what have you done with your life? And you see your life going straight from your birth to that. Everything you've done, everything you've thought. And then, what I never forget, said, it's nothing special to be a doctor. And I was very proud, a young graduate, to be a doctor. And then it said to me, look back. And I looked back, and in my consciousness, and the whole sea of pearls was there. They were pearls, beautiful white pearls, and I understood that they were symbols of human souls. There was a black pearl way behind, and I couldn't understand it until I was telepathically told it was representing the soul of my then-to-be husband, a Finnish major. Not that it was anything bad, but it was shown to me that I could take it away from all the other souls, that was him. And I knew that our marriage would break. And then I came back to the body, and then they said that I had lost 2 liters of blood. And when my husband came to see me, I said, well, I tried to explain. He said, well, of course, oxygen in your brain causes these hallucinations, whatever. There was no hallucinations, and then after some time we were divorced. So even that was shown to me, that things that happen that you think are bad, they are in your computer programming. And the whole thing was a beautiful experience. And now I know that millions of people have had the same. There's been research for 30 years. And it's always the same. You meet a being of light when you get out of your body. And you have to see what you have done. And it's not the physical things that you have done that are so important. If you have a title or your car or sailing boat, it means nothing. It's how much love you have given. That's where you confront it. How much love did you give to people? Those you don't know, those who you didn't know, and how much did you not condemn? If you condemned, criticized, that is a bad person. That is minus for you, because you score yourself, all the good and bad deeds. And if you're allowed to come back to your body, you continue, and then maybe you should change your attitudes. If you're not allowed to come back, then your body dies. And the score is then, in next reincarnation, you have to make good all the bad things you did. They're very profound experiences, because 43% of Americans who've had these experiences say that it was the most important experience of my life. Yeah. And I fully agree, because it changes the whole thing. Yeah. And of course, the out-of-body experience is first part of the near-death experience. But it's the teaching that's important. And some people forget what happened, but they never forget the teaching, because that goes into your subconscious, and that's there, and you can pick it up. And you should.
Yeah. Yeah. Love, you can say love is the key, love is the way.
That's right.
And we have to remember that also, because when I read one of your books, you say about we forget about children dying, suffering from not getting enough nutrition and anything,
Right.
while we here in Scandinavia and the Western world are eating and getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And there's plenty for everyone. We just need to share.
That's right.
And sharing is love.
That's right.
So we have to come back to what we truly are. We are love.
Yeah, but I do think that some catastrophical happenings on this planet have to happen to change our ways, because there's so much cynicism, there's so much evilness, there's so much attitudes that are nonchalance. You know, we don't care what happens to children in Africa. We don't really care if there's an earthquake in Asia.
No.
We read it in the papers. We only care if something happens into our own family or our friends. Then we are, you know, with sorrow.
Yeah.
But 2,000 people die in an explosion in India. Well, too bad. One person dies in your family, that's a catastrophe.
We have really become, you can say, disconnected.
Totally
from
disconnected.
the unity, because it's just, if we all help each other, and it doesn't take a lot, but if we all just do a little more every day, just a little more, we open the door, help an old lady with some bags, whatever. But if we just show the way of being, there's a bicycle on the street, you just get it up. It takes about 10 seconds, 20 perhaps, if it's locked. It takes so little, and you can make people smile if you go around the world or in Europe, and you don't quite know what to say in German, and you just smile or something. You can make people laugh because they say, what is he trying to say here? But you can spread so much love just by being.
That's right.
Yeah.
A smile is a very good way of spreading love, because even if it's somebody whom you don't know, you smile, they usually smile back, or they become glad.
Yeah.
And if you're sour like this, like Scandinavians are sitting in the bus not talking to the other one, that's not good.
No.
But that's our culture, and that has to be changed. And I don't think, like I said, that the world can be changed without a catastrophe, and we're heading for one.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I don't know how many millions of people may die.
Yeah.
Huge earthquakes or something, atomic installations may just explode. But after whatever happens, I think people have changed, because even in the wars, people help each other. There's whether it's tsunami, catastrophe or whatever, people were all helping each other.
Yeah.
Then we change when there's a catastrophe. But then when we come back to the normal life, then we just forget it again. So something has to be dramatically changed, and then I would hope that the earth would become a paradise for all of us.
Yeah, exactly. I have this old friend, and he's into cosmology, and he says, the Danes, there has to be something really terrifying coming, because they will never wake up if they are not, they have to be pushed on their daily living and anything, and he's perfectly right, just as you say. And yeah, I would like to do an experiment, but it's hard to do. But I would like to have turned all the wireless and mobile systems off for a week, because we had an electricity break in Denmark that lasted for 24 hours or so, and people started talking to each other. They started to feeling more love again.
Right.
They started to be more natural, because they had to talk to each other and their neighbors.
Right.
And because in my view, I just sense also when I get into electrosmog fields that I get more hard.
Right.
I get more dehuman. I'm not being a bad person or anything, but I just lose some of my essence.
Right.
But when I go into nature again, I
That's
get
right.
harmonious and in flow. So the wireless society is really disconnecting people from.
It is.
Yeah.
It's destroying the whole world population on the long run. That's true. But I do believe that catastrophe can save us from that, because all you need to do is have a catastrophe where the whole world is without electricity, especially the Western world. We're finished. Nothing works. You can't get gas to your car. You can't get money from your bank. You can't, get things
Email.
to the email. That's nothing. But you can't get food, because you need logistics to, trucks to bring food to the. And when they don't have a gas, benzene, so you can't do that. The whole world changes only by taking away electricity. You don't have to bomb the houses, just take away the electricity and then see what happens. It changes the world. Totally.